Sean Ross Sapp has been at it again. Fightful are reporting that Braun Strowman is under consideration to make a return to the company. Now, do I need to sing Fightful's praises anymore? I will anyway. They've been spot on with the last few, Dexter Lumis being one. Nobody got Johnny Gargano, to be fair, did they? But who was before Dexter Lumis? They got that right as well. Karrion Kross, there you go. So they've been on the money with those. I've got to say, at the risk of sounding negative, struggling to picture where Braun might fit in.
Come on,
in WWE these days.
What? There's a bigger. Listen, this is why. Okay, usually I keep my mouth shut, put my hands up, yeah. But Roman Reigns, yeah. Okay, Roman Reigns here beat two guys. Roman Reigns beat two guys that's disappeared off the face of the earth, right? He's been champion for 2 years. Who are the guys who evolved when he won the title? Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt. I feel like there's like this massive time continuum. There was a massive black hole where two guys got sucked in. The main event scene at one point was struggling hard. Yeah, people ain't like Braun Strowman's political views, but Braun Strowman has some value as a big man because almost, no offense, hasn't worked out as a big man yet. He's still plodding along, trying to learn the ropes. You need a big, even as a heel or baby face, Big Show had some, cachet. I know you guys don't like him. He's not an indie darling, but Braun Strowman will. I
never judge a wrestler on whether I like him or not. It's the wrestler. Like his title run was really bad.
I know he was. It was Vince, but then again, we see what Triple H can do with him. I'm not gonna say Vince and Triple H. Triple H Sunshine is behind. It's exciting to see what a new management can do with Braun.
I wouldn't close off my mind, but it's like, I've seen him work pretty much everyone there. Like, and then if you're going to do him and Gargano, I don't want to see, I just don't have, there was a time, and me and SB3 have been very open about this, where he was feuding with Roman, 2017, 16-ish.
Because it was Roman.
Very good. That wasn't just because it was Roman. He was hot. Strowman got hot, right? And
I hated Roman.
I was into it. Right. And
even Mark Henry's retirement promo, it was over because they hate John Cena. Mark was great, but it added that extra oomph. He's like, he beat up John Cena. It's because
that's on purpose.
It was agenda shipping. They agenda shipped him, and then they pretended, he's really great. And then outside of Roman and probably Sami Zayn or whatever, he didn't really fly. But I feel like we do need a big guy. That's what's missing from WWE because the roster is so more Theory. Anything that can push, make Theory into this much of a feature on the show. Braun Strowman has some cachet. Yeah, you remember him because of that swamp match with Bray. Yeah, you remember the title reign.
It's not just that.
And the white girl dancing with New Day.
He hasn't done, he hadn't he hasn't done much for me in a while before his WWE release. Don't get me wrong, I was surprised to see him go because typically that's like Vince McMahon's masturbation material. But
right.
I'm not saying I'm closed-minded to what Triple H might do with him. I'm just not particularly excited right now. I'm just, that's all it is. Sid, what you got?
You want monsters? You got Gunther. You got Karrion Kross. All Braun Strowman coming back is going to make those guys look small. Yes. So there's the adverse effect of that where Braun Strowman, you fill in a hole for a monster, but all the guys you've been building up that can be monsters are not going to be monsters because he's coming in and filling a spot.
He's a giant monster. There's a difference. It's like Kane coming in. Vader looks small compared to Kane. No, there's room for everyone, guys.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not really. It's not really like that all the time.
Unless you like, and again, Sid just made the right. No, what do you mean? Sid just made the right point, man. Like, you want Gunther? It'd be a great win for him to beat Strowman, right? I don't know where he's at, honestly.
Exactly. That's what bring you Braun back. But if
you're trying to make him, then Omos would go over Braun, right? If you were trying to make him, if Braun's being brought back for these particular reasons, cool. I'm not down to watch him beat 2 jobbers a week again and rise his way back. I've seen it.
I'm over the Braun versus Roman too. You brought up Roman like that was the big case to make. He beat him after that. He beat him after that. He beat him on an episode of SmackDown because even WWE realized at that point that match wasn't going to draw on pay-per-view anymore. That match has been drawn out. The well is dry. It's as dry as a Cena versus Orton matchup. That's how dry the Roman and Braun matchup is. No one wants to see that. If you're bringing Braun back and you're putting him against a Gunther, that might be interesting. If you're bringing Braun back and he's a part of the wider spectrum of bringing the Wyatt family back, I'm here for that. But as far as Braun Strowman on his own as a main event prospect or a main event giant, I'm good, son. You can leave that. I'm already trying my best to get into Karrion Kross. You're not going to be able to get me into both Karrion Kross and Braun Strowman.
You've only got so much enthusiasm to give.
I know.
I only got room for one person to control their narrative. I'm good on all that.
And also, man, like Triple H is just bringing back a WWE centric product that's kind of a wrestling based product, right? Like, again, that's an awkward. It's an awkward fit.
We're all in the same generation. Stop talking like you're born in the 2000s. There's room for giants that can barely walk or barely work.
Nah, not for
There's room. Braun can do stuff.
He can.
And he's got great shape. He's got hair like fire, like he's a fire starter nowadays. You know. He needs to cut off. He looks like Kiwi from WCW. He needs to shave that head off because Raquel Rodriguez is there. Now when she puts her back like that, Braun knows where to aim. But yes, you need to bring him back for the simple reason that you need more upper mid-carders. That's what they're missing. Triple H looked around the roster. He's like, there's barely anyone here. What can I do? Of course, there are rematches all the time. He's bringing back guys. Even Nia Jax, she can't really work. But Nia Jax, there's a space for her as a monster heel. There's people missing, guys.
But people also have to realize that the more people Triple H brings back, he's gonna run into the same issue that Tony Khan has run into, where he has a bloated roster. The same issue that WWE had in 2018, 2019, where they had a bloated roster and they had too many people. I understood a lot of these pickups because they fill in a hole that was needed. I wasn't that big into Hit Row coming back, but it filled a hole in the tag team division. They needed a new babyface tag team because they are dragging their feet on putting Sami Zayn with Kevin Owens, and Usos have beaten everybody else, and you don't have rated RKO. So I understood that one. I understood Karrion Kross wanting to do more with him. I understood Dakota Kai. I even understand Dexter Lumis, even though I don't want to see him in a match. I'm interested in his story. I'm into all of that. But Braun Strowman, you are now putting in somebody in a main event scene that who's gonna be the grunt, or who's gonna not be pushed in the main event scene because Braun Strowman's coming back. Who? AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Riddle. Like, you got so many main eventers, especially on Raw. I don't understand this.
You know what? Yeah, it does big time. I'm still a bit like, I want to give Hit Row a fair shake, but just without Swerve, it doesn't hit the same. Yeah, it doesn't hit the same for me.
To answer Sid's question about Hit Row, I just wanted them to see if they sink or swim, because they were fired before you can even do a great analysis. And you can argue they only brought up the main roster because of Swerve, because they're clearly not ready. That's the awkward thing. They should go brought back to NXT for some seasoning, then being brought back maybe early next year. Do you know what I'm saying? Not a diss. It's just like you can tell some of them.
It's not a diss.
Some of them has been, doing other things outside of wrestling. So just to put them back together, throw them in the ring or throw them back into this environment was a bit haphazard. They should have brought them back to NXT a bit, fix them up a little bit, then put them back in the main roster. Because obviously the original group, or the Triple H visioned group, Swerve was going to be the glue, the nucleus of the group, to hide probably, Top Dollar's inexperience, because Top Dollar can probably do the explosive hot tags. It'll be him and Ashanti doing the work rate or whatever. But now you got both guys in there and B-Fab and so forth. You know what? Let's see how it goes. I'm rooting for them to do well. But yeah, without Swerve, it's kind of, it's not what you know.
But no, it will take some time for them to make Hit Row a different thing almost, but that's going to be hard. And I like what Sid just said as well about Usos, and honorary use Sami Zayn is fucking fantastic,
incredible.
But I do think I do think at one stage there will come a time where, you know, he's ousted or whatever, and hopefully his friend Kevin is there to pick him up, and the Usos are still champions, and that is the easiest way into that story. So easy. I hope that's what happens.